What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Football Busters podcast. Today is Tuesday, November 8th. I'm one of your hosts, Will. Joining me today is my co-host, Eric. How you feeling today, brother?
I'm feeling great. Glad to be back here again with you, starting on a Tuesday. Getting it started off with the news and injuries for this week, and I'm very happy that we don't have a lot to report. Not a crazy massacre like it has been the past few weeks.
Yeah, this season has been crazy. This one is one of the lighter weeks, and we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna show you guys some of the stuff that's been going on in the league. So just to kick off some of the news, the Colts have fired their head coach Frank Reich, who I believe had a winning record going into this.
Yeah,
going into this week, and they replaced him with Jeff Saturday. Someone with no prior professional coaching experience.
Zero.
I'm pretty sure I saw something where like his last game that he coached, he lost like 7-20, and it was like a high school football game or something like that.
Yeah, I think he finished his high school coaching season with like a losing record by far, and that's the only coaching experience that he has.
And
He's a good dude. It's by all accounts, he seems like a good dude. He was a cool personality as an ESPN analyst. It was fun listening to all the mic'd ups with him and Peyton going at it. Seems like a good guy, but as a coach, never coached in college, never coached in the NFL. Plenty of other way more qualified candidates on the team, not even just around the NFL. So I don't know. This is kind of a shit show in Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's one of the strangest moves I think I've ever seen. I think when I texted you about it and you told me, I was like, who the fuck is Jeff Saturday? And you explained that he was a Hall of Fame center, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And you were like, but he has no coaching experience. It's like, it's just the Colts being the Colts. But who knows, man? Maybe he was made for the professional level, and high school just wasn't cutting it for him. It was too easy, and he just didn't want to win any games because it was so easy.
Yeah. He was trying to make it harder on himself.
Yeah, you know, he's playing on easy mode. He's trying to play on hard. That's it. Yeah. So that's just weird news coming from the Colts. And with that being said, Jeff Saturday's also announced that Sam Ehlinger is going to continue to be the starter going forward, at least this week. We kind of speculated whether this is going to affect Matt Ryan's potential starting or not, and it seems as if it hasn't. Yeah. What do you have to say about that one?
I mean, the news is that he said Ehlinger is going to start this week. He didn't necessarily come out and put the stamp that he's going to be the starter all season. I don't know that anything's going to change, but I think this at least opens the door a little bit. I don't know. Back to the hire and the fire of Frank Reich, who I thought was a great coach, and this wasn't his fault. Do you think Jim Irsay is just going through crisis right now? He's just pissed and that's what's happening? Or do you think this is all super calculated? He's trying to make himself look like a madman on purpose so that people won't be mad that he's tanking on purpose for the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I think this is just the most public display of tanking I've ever seen in the NFL. Yeah. and honestly, I kind of love it. It's just, fuck it, guys. We're tanking. You know what this is. We're not starting Matt Ryan. Jonathan Taylor, you may be good enough to go this weekend. You're not playing.
It's probably going to be shut down.
He's probably going to get shut down the rest of the season. It's going to get ugly soon.
This is wild.
Yeah, it's just nuts. This Colts team is a mess. But hey, hopefully, when they tank this year, and I don't know what, get Bryce Love next year? Is that what everyone's tanking for?
Bryce Young, either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
What did I say just now?
Bryce Love, I think, was the running back from Stanford many draft classes ago.
Yeah, we had him on. We had him on Washington. That's right. Yep. My bad. Yep. Bryce
You're
Young. Good. Fuck. All right. So mind me being an idiot. We're gonna move on to the next piece of news. We got PJ Walker was benched against the Bengals, but Coach Wilkes says he'll get to start again this week. This was something I kind of talked about. This is just light speculation. I just wanted to talk about this just because it's fun. But I was like, Baker Mayfield coming from the whole chip on his shoulder aspect, came into this game and wasn't dog shit. He was played better than he had in previous weeks, but he's still not going to get that start, and I don't think he should at this point. But, this was kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of cool to see this 3-headed quarterback system they've got going on over here. So I'm excited to see what the Panthers get done going forward.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. Another organization that's going down the toilet, probably hoping to tank as well.
Yeah, everyone's going. Who are the highly touted quarterbacks going in here? We got Bryce and we've got C.J. Stroud, right?
Yeah, I guess Will Levis is kind of up there, the quarterback from Kentucky. Anthony Richardson was originally up there, quarterback for Florida,
Mm-hmm.
but he's been sort of disappointing. I don't know.
I remember
There's
Bo Nix used to be a guy up there too, but then he
Yeah,
got
but he's
injured and yeah,
garbage. That
yeah,
narrative turned around real quick.
yeah. But that's like you said, another organization clearly tanking, but. It's just kind of cool to see, man. It's cool to see teams being shitty on purpose and just making
Yeah.
weird moves. But
It's fun from our perspective, that's for sure.
oh yeah, I'm sure it's not fun for the players. Who knows? It might be fun for the players. I don't know. But and then on to our next piece of news, the town slut Odell Beckham Jr. He's going to be cleared to play this week, and multiple teams are going to try to bring him in. 4 teams have emerged as sort of the biggest candidates to receive him, and that's the Cowboys, the Bills, Packers, and 49ers. But again, like I said, kind of the town whore, so who knows where he's going to end up at. Eric, you want to elaborate on how much a slut Odell is and where he's going to end up at?
He's a big slut. He's a really just sloppy. I can't even. We're starting this episode off right. I love it. As far as it goes in fantasy,
Yeah.
How do you think? How impactful do you think that he's actually going to be coming off of his second ACL tear in as many years?
So I think to start out, he's not going to do very much. He's obviously going to be, we got him on the team. He's got to get familiar with the playbook. And it's like, so he's not going to play too much. Then the next week, he's still recovering a little bit, so we're going to ramp him up a little. So he's going to be on a pitch count this week. And I feel like it's just going to keep dragging out and dragging out and dragging out until one of these teams are in the playoffs. And that's when they're really going to start to use him a lot. But I don't know. I think Odell's one of those guys, I feel like he's always kind of worth a speculative ad if you've got the space for it, because
sure.
I added him on a couple of my teams just to see what would happen because he is Odell, but at the end of the day, he's an aging wide receiver who's coming off, like you said, his second ACL tear. He's got a long history of injuries in general, and we're entering the midway point of the season. So it's like, how invested are one of these teams really going to be in him extremely early on too? So it all stands to kind of be seen.
Yeah. If he goes to the Cowboys or Packers, both of them are in desperate need of wide receiver help.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is healthy and gets acclimated quickly, I could see him making an impact almost immediately. I mean, if healthy, he's better than Gabe Davis if he goes to the Bills. And that offense is one where even if he's limited as far as opportunity, he could still be fantasy relevant.
Mm-hmm.
The 49ers is a weird one, though, man. I was surprised to hear that they were heavily involved or heavily interested. Debo is probably going to be back either this week or next week. Brandon Ayuk has been playing well. Kittle and McCaffrey. Like, there's just so many mouths to feed already. It seems weird that they would be in on this.
It just seems like the 49ers it's weird because they started out the season with Trey Lance and they were in sort of we got our new quarterback, we're going to get him acclimated, we're going to do this. But as soon as Trey Lance went down and Jimmy Garoppolo got the start, it's like now they're in win now mode.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's really weird.
Like, I guess it makes sense. Like, they've won with Jimmy G before, they've gone to a Super Bowl with him before, but just overall, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but like, you have your starting quarterback for the year and you're like, maybe we'll be okay. And then he gets hurt.
And you're like,
okay, now we're going for the Super Bowl.
Fucking ramp it up. Start it up.
That's crazy to me.
We're going to the dance, baby.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, how much changed? And at that point, like, why did you even start Trey Lance to start the season if you thought that you could win it with Jimmy? Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Strange situation.
But it's like you said, with the Cowboys and the Packers, obviously they need wide receivers, so he would get slotted in pretty quickly. 49ers is the weirdest one because you got Brandon Ayuk and Debo, who I think both of them at this point, I'm not going to say they're more talented than Odell, but I think at this point they are more effective and more efficient than Odell is at this point in his career.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I think he's over the hill at this point, but he's still a good player. I'm not going to say he's not. Like, obviously, last time we saw him, he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
He's out of his prime,
right?
But he was also one of the best receivers to ever do it. So
right. So it's
even
just,
out of his prime, he's still a good receiver.
Right. Like, there's levels to it. But I think he's at least worth a speculative ad just to see where he ends up at. So, yeah.
Yep.
OBJ. And then moving on to the next set of news, speaking about the Bills, we got Mr. Josh Allen injured his UCL, which stands for ulnar collateral ligament, and potentially some nerves in his elbow in one of the last plays of the game against the Jets, a game that we didn't really expect them to lose to the Jets.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in our game recap. You guys can check that out. We don't really have too much information on his shoulder, on his elbow yet. Yeah. But he dealt with a similar injury back in 2008 that kept him out for 4 games, and we're kind of expected for him to miss time here as well. But we don't know the extent of how much time he's going to really miss.
Yeah, like you said, we don't have a lot of information. We're probably going to find out more here pretty soon. I would imagine later on today. Based on the way that the Bills came out and talked about it, it sounds like he's probably seeking a second opinion, which is why we haven't heard like official news on a timeline yet. And with that being the case, like teams don't look for a second opinion unless they don't like the first one. So that doesn't really bode well. But then also, like if you look back at the game, it happened on a strip sack where he went to throw, defender hit his arm and it like torqued his arm back. And then like the very next play, he threw like a 70-yard bomb to Gabe Davis. So like it might have hurt, but you know, it's not like it's fully torn. He's still got a functioning arm that he can perform just as well with. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I think best case scenario, he's going to be limited in practice, is going to be in pain, but can play through it. I think median case scenario, which I've heard from some of the Twitter doctors, FB Injury Doc and stuff like that, he's out like 2 to 4 weeks. Maybe it's a strain or a partial tear. And then worst case scenario, he did fully tear it, which again, he threw that ball 70 yards immediately after. I don't think that's possible, but then he'd be out for the season and would need surgery. So that's kind of the range of outcomes here. We just don't know what it's going to be yet.
Yeah, so we're just going to keep an eye on it. Today is Tuesday, so we should be getting more news on like, MRI, stuff of that nature. Maybe get a little bit more insight into this injury, and then just keep an eye on his practice status throughout the week. It's going to be the best indicator of how he's doing. The team should keep us pretty updated because he is by and far the most important part of this team. So we're going to know what's going on with him.
Yep.
And then staying on the injury wave, we've got Aaron Jones, who injured his ankle and was seen in the walking boot after the game. Initial report from Green Bay made it seem like it was precautionary and that he might even be able to play this week. Aaron Jones also said that he was kind of upset because he didn't want to come out of the game because he felt like he could still go, but after they shut him down, some of the soreness did start to seep in, so he saw why they pulled him out, just as a, precautionary measure, as they also said too. So, yeah, there's a little bit of optimism there for Aaron Jones owners, a little bit of pessimism for A.J. Dillon owners. Me, I'm right in the middle because I have both. Eric, what do you think about this one?
I don't have too much to add. I think you covered the majority of it. Definitely encouraging to hear that he could be back this week. It did seem a little bit more serious than that when he initially left. He like immediately went to the locker room for evaluation. So definitely happy to see that. We can talk about this again more in the game recap. So check that out. That'll be coming out in the next couple days. But this Green Bay team, we also have a couple more injuries to talk about on their team. They suffered a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Aaron Jones wasn't doing great prior to going down with the injury.
Nope.
They just lost to the Lions by a lot. Aaron Rodgers had maybe his worst game as a pro. It's all around bad there. Like, how much confidence do you have starting anybody on this team?
None, really. I'm just starting them and hoping for the best. They're on a 5-game losing streak. This is the worst we've ever seen the Packers, I feel like. I don't think we've ever seen a Packers team play this badly, ever. In the Aaron Rodgers era. Like,
since before Brett Favre.
Yeah. Like, this is really bad. So I can't start any of them. They lost to the Lions, bro. The Lions, who we were talking last week about Aaron Jones. Oh, they're playing the Lions. This is a big week for Aaron Jones coming up, which it should have been, but it just was not. They're just not. They're dysfunctional. They're not clicking on any real type of level. Aaron Rodgers is playing the worst football he's ever played. It's looking like he should have retired and they should have moved forward.
Yeah, maybe. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like, I don't understand financially where they're even at right now with everything that they've done up to this point. I don't know what they do as a team moving forward if this is what the team is. But yeah, I'm not confident in starting any of them.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement. I think Aaron Jones at this point is too good, and he's very involved. It's hard. It would be hard to sit him, just because I imagine most people don't have a better option. But that's really it. Oh well, okay. We'll talk about Alan Lazard too in the game recap. He actually has been heavily targeted and pretty good. But
yeah,
outside of those two, it's tough to have confidence in anybody.
Yeah, and then sticking with the Packers, like Eric said, we got Romeo Doubs, who suffered a high ankle sprain, and he's likely to be out 4 to 6 weeks. I didn't see this game. I saw some of the updates as the game was going along. I think this was a situation where he was getting checked out on the sidelines. He was trying to, like, walk it off, see if he was okay, and then he got carted off afterwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching on Red Zone, so it got all split up. I didn't see it all together, but I saw him make the catch, go down, come off the sideline. It seemed like, he still had his helmet on. He wanted to come back in the game, but it just wasn't going to happen for him.
Yeah, just wasn't able to work himself back up, and turns out it was a big injury, so good thing he didn't come back in the game because could have injured it even more. But Romeo Doubs looking to miss a lot of time, so that's another just blow to this team that's just taking hit after hit after hit.
Yep.
And then sticking with the Packers again, we got Matt LaFleur, who made it clear that Christian Watson did not suffer another concussion. He passed protocol, but they held him out anyways out of caution, just considering that he had suffered a concussion the week before. So just an example of an NFL team being smarter after the whole, Tua incidents earlier this year, not taking the chance.
Yep.
But, yeah, it's just... it's like you said, man, this team just keeps taking hit after hit after hit after hit. Christian Watson, it seems like every time he gets back into the game, he's back out the game. It's a mess.
Yeah, he can't stay on the field, and it sucks for him because he's clearly really talented. At least physically, he's really fast, really big, good in and out of his breaks as far as a route runner. He's had issues with some drops and some mental errors and stuff like that. But you'd love to see him be able to be on the field to correct that kind of stuff, and he just hasn't had that chance.
Yeah, and we're, I guess, hoping that'll change. But like I said earlier, I don't know what's going to happen with this Packers team, so I'm not optimistic. But I'm just hoping for the best, I guess. So moving on to another injury that unfortunately is going to hurt a little bit more. We got the Ravens have placed wide receiver Rashad Bateman on IR, and we found out he's going to miss the rest of the season with the Lindsfrack injury. This is something that we were afraid of weeks prior, that this was where things were headed towards, and it seems as if we have gotten there. So it does hurt to see. Again, another team that needs a lot of help at the wide receiver position that just isn't really getting it. Why aren't the Ravens in like trying to get OBJ? Why don't they like wide receivers? Why don't they like Lamar, man?
That's a good question. I don't know. They sent him out there this past week with DeSean Jackson and Devin Duvernay as his top wideouts, and he won the game. So I don't know. I'm not sure what's good with that. I feel like they should be trying to surround him with more talent, but instead, they traded away Marquise Brown. Rashad Bateman's not their fault. He got hurt, but yeah, it's weird for sure.
Yeah, it's strange, but feels like another fallen soldier, man. Another person that everybody had highly touted coming into the season, just out for the rest of the season. So hoping for a speedy recovery for Rashad Bateman, that he can come back to full strength next year.
Yeah. Also, before we move on, we gotta get this down with you, all right? Not trying to be a douchebag.
What did I do?
What did you call his injury?
I said Lindsfrack, didn't I? It's Liz Frank.
Yeah.
That's my bad.
There we go.
It's just I got a little tongue tied.
You like to flip it. You put the N in the beginning and take the N out the end.
That's my bad.
You got it, dog. I just want to make sure for the people, they know what's going on.
Words are hard. Now
they are hard.
Sticking with the Ravens, we got a kind of grand opening, grand closing type situation. We got DeSean Jackson, who, like we said, signed this week to play with the Ravens, and he is now out with a soft tissue hamstring injury.
Yep.
Almost immediately. I mean, it's It's kind of expected a little bit. DeSean
A
Jackson,
little.
older wide receiver, also a long history of injuries, especially soft tissue injuries. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not shocked that this happened, but, it does suck to see. You hope that he'll recover and get back quick too, but at the same time, it's a DeSean Jackson.
He's 35.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
excited about DeSean Jackson.
Yeah, I wasn't excited even if he was healthy, to be honest. He actually, I mean, his involvement wasn't terrible. His results were, but he was getting targeted deep down the field, which is encouraging to see.
Oh, yeah.
But they say that the hamstring injury was minor, that he potentially could have gone back in the game, but they didn't want to push it because they were winning. But yeah, with a guy 35 years old, history of injuries, just like you said, I don't know if I'm buying it. I think this could be an extended absence for him.
Yeah, or it's going to be he'll play in the next game and he'll play a couple snaps and he'll get shut down because it just didn't feel right or something. It's it's not great. And then we got David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns. Says he hopes to play on Sunday versus Miami. He suffered a high ankle sprain in week 7, and we were expecting him to be out about 4 to 6 weeks. So he's actually starting to look like he's hoping to be back before that timeline. How do you feel about that, Eric? Do you think he'll be able to, or do you think this is something people should keep an eye on?
So the timeline was weird with him. They said like 2 to 5 weeks.
That's right. They did say 2 to 5.
Which is a big gap. So, I mean, that fits the timeline. This will be his 3rd week back, or the 3rd week since he suffered the injury. So I haven't seen any reason to doubt him and his ability when he gets back on the field. Obviously, high ankle sprains do tend to limit production a little bit immediately after returning. So maybe temper expectations a little bit. But no, I mean, I think this fits the timeline. Injury doctors haven't said to expect him to be terrible. So, yeah, he should be all right.
Yeah, and then we still got Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. So if he is out there, he should be at least looked at. So David Njoku out there, yeah, I guess we'll see what he can do or if he can get out there. Also, players are a lot more optimistic than, medical staff and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, yeah, he's not playing, but he is making good progress. So
yeah,
keep an eye on
that's
his
a good point.
Practice status throughout the week as well.
Yeah, and you also mentioned Jacoby Brissett. When does Deshaun Watson come back? Is it week 11 or week 12?
I believe he was suspended for 11 weeks, so he should come back week 12.
Yeah, so we got 3 more weeks until he would be back.
Yeah, because their bye week is week 12, right? Do they have a bye week coming up?
I think they just had it this week. I think they had a week 9 bye.
That's right. Dog, the tickler, he'll be back in action, man. I don't know what to think about that, man.
And neither do I. It's weird. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
The crowd reaction, too. I can't wait to see that.
Oh, dude. Especially if it's an away game. Oh, my goodness.
I'm pretty sure the NFL is wild for this. I'm pretty sure they set him up to play the Texans.
Yeah, they play the Texans. Oh, my goodness.
I just wonder. Let me see if it's at home or away.
Hey, bro. Y'all make sure y'all turn on your DVRs for that one.
It's at Houston.
Yup, turn on your DVRs. Make sure you're listening to the crowd. Don't even listen to the announcers. They might even try to turn down the stadium noise for this game because it's gonna be nuts. Especially if it's anything like the preseason games were.
Yeah,
it's gonna get wild out there. So
can't wait.
It's gonna be a movie, guys. But David Njoku could be back soon. That's the news. And then for our last bit of news, we wrap it up. We got Evan Ingram, who left the game early this past week with a back injury. We don't have an update on his status as of right now, but we're hoping that, that'll come through soon. Evan Ingram, somebody else who was targeted heavily throughout this game, or not targeted heavily throughout the game, but targeted heavily throughout the season, was emerging as one of those top tight ends in fantasy, but a little bit of a setback for him coming forward. What do you think about this one right here? Because I think this injury may have bumped a couple of other people up in this team. Like Christian Kirk started to get way more involved again now that Evan Ingram is out.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Christian Kirk had a really good game. He dominated the snaps, the routes run, and the targets. Zay Jones and Marvin Jones were both okay. Their target share went up a little bit, I think, after Evan Ingram went out. So, yeah, I guess it's a slight boost for the other receivers on the team. But, yeah, it just sucks to see for Evan Ingram, who was really becoming like a priority option for this team. Like they were really targeting him, especially in the red zone, drawing up plays for him. And he was helping the barren tight end landscape. So if he's out for any extended period of time, that could be rough.
Yeah, it sucks to see because Evan Ingram had struggled ever since pretty much his rookie year, and now he's starting to get not back to that same form, but at least back to being, a productive player in the NFL. And to see him go down like this, it sucks to see, but hopefully it's nothing too serious. So hopefully we'll get an update later on today, tomorrow, sometime this week about what's going on with them and what that timeline looks like going forward.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But with that being said, that is the injury news and just the overall NFL news for the week. Like you said, not a crazy week for us, but still a good amount going on. And with that being said, make sure you guys follow us on all our other socials as well. You can check us out on Twitter. If you check the links down in the description, you'll be able to find our Twitters. You'll be able to find our TikTok. We've been going kind of crazy on TikTok, making some updates. Pretty much the extra stuff that we're not doing here, you'll see it over there. So, and we got a fun little spin the wheel challenge. So stuff's been really cool over there, and check that stuff out. And Eric, do you have anything you want to say to people before we sign off?
Yeah, just same things that we've been saying. All the typical YouTube stuff. If you took anything valuable away from this, give us a like. That's much appreciated. Helps us out a lot. Subscribe so you can see the videos that we got coming out later this week. We're giving out free fantasy football advice all the time. If you want to hit us up in the comments on YouTube or comments on TikTok or DM us on Twitter, any of that stuff, hit us up and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. I've been really, really pleased with the community engagement that we've got recently.
Hell yeah.
I don't have the names in front of me, but I'll make sure to shout all of them out for our next video, which we're recording right after this. So if you've hit us up for advice or any of that stuff recently, check out our next video. We'll put your name in there. And if you guys want any of your sit-start questions answered, trade advice, any of that stuff, hit us up before Wednesday night, and we'll get that into our sit-start video or our buy and sell video on Thursday.
Hell yeah.
That's all I got.
Hell yeah. And if you guys made it this far in the video, like we always say, we love you. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Peace.
Peace.
I'm winning again. How could I lose? I was born just to win. Could never lose, so I'm winning again. I'm winning again. I'm winning again. Minute by minute, I'm meeting the end.